There's an old wives' tale that may be partly true, depending on where you're at, that moss grows on the north side of trees. That if you can find where the mossiest side of the tree is, that's most likely to face north. Sometimes it doesn't work that way, but I think in this case it is true. Here's a tree. This side is very mossy, and this side is very kind of dry and has very little moss. The dryness is the real important factor here. Moss likes moisture, and the side of the tree that faces the sun the most is most likely to be the driest side of the tree. The side that faces away from the sun the most is likely to retain moisture longer. So, if you're in the northern hemisphere, facing south tends to get the most sunlight. Facing north tends to get the least sunlight in general. Which means, if you're in the northern hemisphere, very often the dry side of the tree will be on the south side, and the moist side of the tree will be on the north side. So, the moss is more likely to grow where the moisture is. Take it for what it's worth. Sometimes it can help you. It's always better to know where north and south really are than to rely on this method. But this method is often correct, even though it's an old wives' tale. I'm sure this will never happen to you, but it happened to me one time. I was navigating inland away from the river. The river was sort of a landmark. As long as the river was on my left, I was heading one way, and whenever it was on my right, I knew I was heading the opposite way. So no matter how turned around I got, I could always use the river as a landmark. This particular river has almost 180-degree bend in it. As you keep hiking along it, you'll eventually start going in the other direction. And if you strike the river, if you're inland and you strike the river, you may think, okay, I've hit the river, I need to turn left to get back to the car. Depends on which bow of the river, which loop of the river you hit. You may be going in the opposite direction of the car. I'm okay with navigating most times, but occasionally I can get busy videoing, or I can be following a hawk, or I can be talking, or I can be looking at plants, and literally get turned around. Even though I've been to this place several times, I know where this loop of the river goes, I know where my car is supposed to be, but literally I have been turned around going in exactly the wrong direction before. So watch out, understand when these rivers turn, and try to understand where you are in relation to them. If you're in a completely unfamiliar area, you probably are going to want to get up high if you can and kind of observe the lay of the land, observe where the sun is. Today's a very cloudy day, but we can sort of try to figure out where north and south is. And just be aware of landmarks. When I did some time in a military unit, we always had an escape azimuth. Whenever we were out on a mission of some kind, we knew that if we ever got lost or if we ever got separated, always go south or always go north or always go whatever the escape azimuth is, And you're guaranteed, no matter what, as long as you're in the area of operations, you're guaranteed to hit a road, a river, a landmark, something, and then stay put or navigate from there. So keep in mind when you're traveling to have an escape azimuth, meaning when I get turned around, if I get totally screwed up, if I hit my head on a rock and wake up tomorrow, if I just go south or if I just go north, I'll eventually hit a road. I've looked at the map and I know that for sure. It may take me all day, but I'll eventually hit that road. That'll be my backstop. So when you're navigating, think of what your backstop is. Think of points that you don't want to go beyond. I don't want to go beyond this river. If I hit this river and try to cross it, I'm out of my area of operations. If I hit the river, that's my backstop. I know I can either go left or right. Okay? So think about that. You don't have to have a GPS. You don't have to have a compass. That all helps. But if you know the land, you know a little bit how to navigate.